Hello, for this week's project, I've come up with a lesson plan. It's going to be called Bag O' Critters, and this will be target age groups between the ages of 4th grade to 6th grade. And with this project, the goals and objectives are going to be categorizing, vocabulary, and morphological knowledge for use of spelling. So, how will I teach this lesson? I've designed a game that uses turn taking and music to help stimulate this activity. And this will help increase vocabulary, categorizing, and morphological knowledge when it comes to spelling. The students will pass around a bag with a bunch of flashcards with different animals on each card. And when the music stops, kind of like hot potato style, when the bag stops on a certain child, they'll have to pick out an animal. They have to say the animal, state where the natural habitat of this creature lives, and then they'll have to at least attempt to spell each animal correctly. And so, if they get the spelling correct, it's a bonus, but that's kind of like the third option. This will give the students the opportunity to learn animal classifications. This will expand the vocabulary and their MLU. Vocabulary will be extended and MLU if they really have to push their imagination and try to describe where these animals might live. They have to give them good detail. And this activity learning will come by modeling by the teacher and other peers. So if the child is having a hard time, they can ask on a teacher or ask on a friend to help, and that teacher or that friend can model what the actual answer is. As far as describing the activity and how it will be implemented, categorizing, I will first teach the children the 5 basic animal groups such as amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, etc. And I will follow this up by characteristics of each, like reptiles have scales, fish feel slimy, birds have feathers, and so on, so that they'll get a good idea of the categories and how to describe each creature to properly put them in each category. Vocabulary, I will explain the rules of how they must label each animal and then describe the natural habitat. So that's going to push vocabulary, having to describe, so say where a frog lives, what it looks like, what it feels like. That's going to push their expressive language capabilities, plus expand the vocabulary. Morphological knowledge, when the child is done, they must at least attempt to try to spell each animal. Morphological, when it comes to word forming, that you need to know how to spell. And morphological knowledge when it comes to spelling is just proper grammar and spelling. The child will get to see the word afterwards if they cannot spell it correctly, just to reinforce what the word looks like, and they'll get a second shot later on down the road. As far as introducing this activity, I'll let the goals be known that we are categorizing, we are pushing up vocabulary so the kids have a good idea of what they're trying to push themselves on. That it is not just a game, but this is something that we can learn from. When the children also get a good rundown of the rules and keep some function and some formality to it, so this is an actual game for learning. A child who is struggling, we're going to adopt like a help out your neighbor type of strategy to this activity. So if a child is having a hard time for the first round or two, it'll just be the teacher that is allowed to help to model the exact way to do this. And later on down, the other kids have seen how I've pushed them without giving them the answer. The children will be able to ask other children in the group to also help them out. So that'll be your help out your neighbor. And this is also going to be modeling as well. As far as making it more difficult, I have had a couple of ideas to make this more difficult. I probably will have more than one bag of critters. There'll probably be 3. So in the first bag of critters, I'll have very simple household type animals such as a goldfish, a cat, a dog, a pet lizard. Things that the children won't have too much difficulty describing and picking out a habitat. The second one might be like a shark, tiger, and an alligator. Something a little more complex, something a little more outside the box. And lastly, for a third bag, just something that might really push them out to an extra limit of having to describe an exotic habitat. I may have marsupials, bats, flying fish, something a little more complex, something they're not used to describing on a regular basis to push their imagination. So this activity will push them with vocabulary, categorizing, and morphological knowledge with use of spelling. Thank you.